Just having a look at these two team statistics here on Oregon. Black Dragons in the last few months played it twice. They, remember, beat Team Liquid rather infamously. Best game of Stage 1. I'm going to say it until the day I die. And then they lost it against Santos, which wasn't this this stage. That must have been last stage, because they played Santos on playday number 1. And actually, both of these teams have played Santos so far, and Black Dragons won 8-6 on Cafe Dostoyevsky. So neither of those times have been this stage so far. We haven't seen the new Black Dragons on this map. Same goes for INTZ, in fact. So this is kind of new territory.
New territory on Oregon. Not something that really rolls off the tongue, is it? Usually it's...
Not really.
Usually it's Morrigan. Depending, of course, on your outlook. The band's very conservative. Thatcher, Maverick, Staples, Cade, and the Wamai. All taken away. We do have the Flores available, and we are pretty much guaranteed to see it, as this is often one of the examples people give when they try and explain what Flores drones are capable of doing, is destroying the shield like the one inside of 90 Elbow on Laundry on Oregon. That's more than likely the location we're going to see it used most, although there are so many uses for it, so many locations that you can really put that drone to good work. Dorm's going to be our first site choice here for Black Dragons.
Yes, and I'm actually interested as well, because talking about how Flores has actually been brought in a decent amount so far this stage for attacking onto the basement side, but Black Dragons aren't going to the basement side as their first site. So that doesn't mean that Flores can't find value, absolutely not, that'd be completely untrue. But I don't think we've seen Flores be used up here as much as we have down in the laundry and supply side. So I'm very interested to see how that one is going to go. And where the value is found for that. I mean, for me personally, a really obvious place to imagine it being used would be removing utility from Attic, for example. But one of the big conversations that we have a lot is how many Brazilian teams focus on that as much as other parts of entering into this upstairs floor, as much as we see in other regions.
Yeah, it isn't as commonly occupied, is it, as an area? There's certainly a lot of uses for the Flores drone on this site in particular, but as you say, it depends on kind of your outlook and where you want to try and push. And big window, the order of the day, big window and white stairs, maybe somebody on Kids Rappel if you've got the pressure, maybe somebody coming through games, but even then, that's at a push. Typically, these attacking stances will just come down to a big window hopping. And sure, there's a lot of stuff that goes on before that. You can already hear some of the Flores drones going off in the distance. Gio, they've got a very technical name. What are we going to call them? Are we going to call them like the boomboxes? Are we going to call them Flores drones? Like, let's spitball an idea here.
Well, I've been calling them Flores drones mostly because I don't remember the real name.
I think it's long. It's got numbers and letters. I don't think it rolls. So, unless the real name starts to become prevalent, I think for sort of onboarding, it's nice to call them Flores drones, because it's like, yeah, Flores, the guy with the red glasses and the card. Like, yeah, we know who that is. But I feel like we need something that's a little bit more punchy. Called the Retero, apparently.
Retero?
There we go. It's the RCE. That's the problem with it. It's the RCE Retero drone. Also known as Flores drone.
Why do I feel like I've never I've played Flores, and I feel like this is new information, but you know, it's probably not. I'm probably just stupid. Either way, Flores is trying to shoot into that armory window. Not actually found anything yet. No one on any side has found any. Oh,
I mean, there it is.
Zach.
Zach's going to be able to push his way on through. Hornetow as well. You get the impression Patoxy was playing quite aggressively there. That was the classic, like, Patoxy peaked, they exchanged, and then he re-peaked again. And he wasn't in a great position to do so. Hornetow, sure, he's one shot, but a lot of damage has been done there.
Well, a nice kill back in return is going to get a bit closer to evening things out. And as you mentioned, Hornetow so low that all he needs is someone to kind of blow in the vague direction of him, and he'll fall over and crack. We'll see how long he manages to persist for, especially if he can get value out of the Yana drones before he is finally brought down. Now, Vit's looking for an angle through into Attic, and you can see that a shield was still standing in the door of Attic. That's probably something that INTZ are going to make the effort to get rid of, or at least should do. Right now, a lot of the attention is on the big window.
Ooh, a great swing there by Drunks as he had the heads up over onto Ion. That's also really opened things up now in terms of pushing onto big window. Ion was a player that was trying to hold that big window. Resets. He's looking to push his way on through the smoke. He's so close to Capital. He has to now try and aggress on through with 1 second on the clock. All he's got to do is get the kill and stay alive. He does just exactly that. We mentioned him inside of the pregame. Resets is the highest rated player after last week's games, and he's come out with a huge clutch inside of round number 1.
You sound exasperated. We're 1 round in. We're 1 round in. You can't, this can't happen. You
gotta give it. You gotta
wear
give it.
my co-caster now. Come on, Black Dragons. I know, it's great. And I love it as well, because the big point that we made about resets being the highest rated is, you know, this is on such a small scale because we only have 1 game to go off. So it's not like it's starting to even out over time. But then if he's going to keep playing like that, maybe it's not going to be such a small scale. I know I'm just being hyperbolic here, but I still like the idea. I find it funny. Yeah, there we go. Nice replay to relive the moment. And we'll be heading down into the basement, which is where we see a lot of teams actually go for the first round. But Black Dragons just wanted to be, you know, a pick-me girl for a bit.
A little bit extra.
Yeah.
That team that does go to the top floor first and wins it, though. That's the more important thing. They're able to go up there. They're able to get away the win. Now they can come downstairs with that advantage and not necessarily relax, but play into the advantages of this site, which I'm sure they're going to do. They've only brought 1 deployable shield, which isn't the end of the world. Typically, you would only see 1 played. You get the impression there's going to be a roaming presence. We've got Perez. He's going to be playing on the Vigil. You don't bring the Vigil if you're going to sit in the site.
Yeah, I was looking at the same thing. You got the Melusi too to go alongside the Vigil. In a lot of cases, you might find the Mute actually playing off site too, and Ion's doing a lot of prep upstairs as well. So maybe he'll just chill out in security or something for a bit. And basically what you do by doing that is you force INTZ to do a thorough clear of that ground floor. If they don't, they're going to get sprung on from behind if they go straight down for the site. So you are forcibly ensuring that they waste time, even if they find no kills and you find no kills. The clock is your best friend or your worst enemy in this game.
It was Black Dragon's best friend last round as it turned a 1 versus 3 into a 1 versus 1 and wait 1 second and you win the round. So they're looking to maybe take advantage of that again and really wrap INTZ up in this extended clear, which, to be honest, INTZ don't look any further at completing. Now, it's a drone that's been missed there, so Perez's location is going to be known. Obviously, Vigil's cloak, it goes through the floor, so you never really know where you're at in terms of droning one out. But an opening kill this time, again, going into INTZ's favour. Resets, I'm sure you just saw somebody on the roof.
This was literally climbing up onto the roof.
Clear as day. Must be an aspect ratio thing.
Yeah, he's got the aspect ratio that's so close that he only has an FOV of like 10. Well, Vitz gets taken down by someone anyway, even though it wasn't Resets. Perez finally gets that kill, so he will be punished for it. And look at the clock right now. I mean, over half the round has gone down. You're heading into the final minute, and still these kills are happening on the ground floor, and I'm pretty sure that was the diffuser as well. That's going to have to be recollected by the attackers before they can continue to move on. But,
I mean, they're
just going straight down Freezer stairs.
I mean, he's going down Freezer stairs, he's finding himself a kill. Surely now they're not going to come back up and try and recover this diffuser. Perez is going to be watching it. He finds himself the triple kill. Could be an ace here quite easily. Picks up the quad, pre-fires his way through. Drunks isn't looking to give it up. Can he land a shot? Yes, he can. What a big introduction there for his second game here inside of the BR6. Perez, he's going to hit an ace for Black Dragons.
Perez, who got brought in from Supernova, right? Who was the team that won the Copa do Brazil, had previously played in the Liga 6. And yeah, I guess was just a little diamond in the rough coming in their second game. of the BR6 to get an ace. Pretty nice. And that was a... I don't want to say that was a Black Dragons round in the sense of, like, it's something we could have seen last stage, but it kind of was. Because it was kind of messy. There wasn't tons of structure to it. It was just these kills being caught through narrow angles of door frames every now and then, you know?
Oh, yeah, like, he got 3 kills from Zulu towards, like, the same direction, and he got 1 kill out main door, and then the other one was at, like, the bottom of main stairs. Oh, sorry, the top of main stairs. So he got all of the kills in a fraction of the map. So pretty wild to think that that was really all it came down to, was a super extended roam, hiding yourself out there, wasting a ton of time, and a round that really could have gone either way. One person shuts him down, and all of a sudden, INTZ are able to start pushing on through. I think scrappy's the best word, Gio.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll give you that. I'll give you that one. Well, I guess we'll see if it's going to continue on to this next round. We've decided that they're going to head over to dining. One of the comments that we make a lot is that many Brazilian teams would actually prefer to go to the meeting site rather than dining. Well, not Black Dragons, apparently. And INTZ are going to have to be more coordinated and I think more vigilant if they are to push in through small tower like most teams do when attacking onto this site. In fact, I'm not entirely sure what the alternative to that would be. But the likelihood is, too, that they're going to have some upstairs control. If Black Dragons have someone sitting over the hatch, they will have to be removed. And, I mean, I guess if you simply, even if they don't have someone sitting over the hatch, if you want to have vertical control, ideally for a post plant, you need to have upstairs control. We'll see how INTZ decide to split their attention, because right now, they're just looking to push, or at least open up the wall into showers.
It's quite a focused push at the moment from INTZ, as really is their main source of ingress. Toxie's going to be inside of those showers, still playing on a deployable shield. They'll likely have a bit of utility to do so with as well, but a brave cross from Zach as he gets himself into position, and a great nade from Hornetal, followed up with a fantastic frag onto Patoxy. Eventually will be shut down by Live. A lot of damage done, though. Live now has to try and push up and play aggressive. Gets one with the shotgun, moves for the SMG-11. Doesn't manage to hit his shots as Vitz eventually will shut him down as well. And a quicker round here from INTZ is giving them a bit of a better result.
Yanx is just holding on to the angle, and there is someone over in the distance, but he's not going to over-assert himself just yet. And Drunk's also, quite similarly, very far behind over on the stairs in small tower as well. Forest drone being sent in. I already forgot what the actual name of the drone is. The REC something that sounded like Intero. Anyway, it's going to remove the evil eye that was sat in dining, so even though there is just 3 of them remaining, it does look like they're looking to do a proper clear of utility to... Oh, he saw the barrel of the gun.
Ion. He doesn't know his luck.
Oh,
well,
no.
Is he lucky? Is he unlucky? I guess
They're
time
going
will
for
tell.
a plant. They're going to be planting anyway. It doesn't look like anyone's going to stop it. Vitz just completely gets Ion as he steps out without realizing. Resets. He's the only hope here for Black Dragons, but does he entirely know where all these players are? I think he knows there's one directly around the corner, but he still can't get the kill onto him. Oh no. INTZ finally put their first round on the board, and once again, I say that one was also very scrappy, Ollie.
Very scrappy stuff. INTZ played it well in the end, but getting to that position was by no means a clear-cut thing. There's a couple of double kills that come through. Well, I think Hornetal's double kill certainly opened things up. Taking control of the bottom of White Stairs was really crucial. Landed a nice grenade, was able to follow it up as well. Really started to open things on up there. Unfortunate stuff for Black Dragons, but they have had the benefit of a couple of those scrappy rounds already, so it makes sense that we see one go to INTZ eventually. Live at a big show in there as well, inside of the... just outside the showers with the shotgun. But ultimately that man count advantage just a little bit too much for them in the dying few moments. Resets, even though he had the Alder and he had the pre-fire down to a T, you know, start shooting a long time before you start the swing. Unable to shut it down, but back up to top floor here for Black Dragons.
One thing that I will say, if we're actually looking at a strategy and utility usage style of things, is INTZ like to lead with their guns. And even though we saw them actually try and invest into clearing out some defensive utility a little later on, notably with the Evil Eye, they're not doing it early enough. So, for example, when we saw Hornetow run up the shower corridor, yes, he got 2 kills, but he got taken down immediately because, surprise, surprise, there wasn't a proper clear, and there was someone sat at the bottom of the stairs ready to kill him. That's entirely unsurprising, because what Hornetow did was just press W and hold mouse 1 at a certain part of it. INTZ need to take more care, I think, to not just lead with the barrel of their guns, because while they might get a few cool kills for it, it's not reliable enough. It's not going to actually help them out later on in the round, and if they do get caught out in those moments, they're going to be seriously weakened going forward. The only reason, I think, why they actually managed to take that last round is because they had the man advantage, and Black Dragons were kind of nervous to aggress onto that because INTZ could stay together. There wasn't a ton of information. But it is something that I've noticed for both of these teams.
INTZ again going for a very thorough drone. It's something they've done in at least the first 2 rounds. They spent a lot of time droning and fact finding, but not so much in the previous. Hornetow as well, able to gather info on the Gemini if required. Vitz, he's been able to destroy 1 Goyo, but unfortunately for him, will lose 1 of his Flores drones. Still got 2 remaining though. You do get 4, so there's opportunity to get back on in. And Attic Geo is being contended for here. It's something we've asked for weeks on end.
Oh, and you love to see it. It's actually putting a decent amount of pressure because of the Hibana pellets that are coming in through the trophy wall as well. So it means that Iron, for example, is going to be receiving a lot of pressure. And Hornetow can get not a kill quite yet, but he can get a shot. There you go, it's finally a kill. Actually finished off with the Flores drone, that's nice. Actually get a shot in through from where he was in the games room. Now, more of the Flores drones are being used to get rid of the shields. That's nice. And they have to rely on a Toxic Babe canister to actually prevent some kind of push in through Attic. That was a really good drone spot as well down in meeting. So they figured out where Perez is too. They know that that Jaeger is down below looking to pressure from there.
A lot of time left. Hornetow forced to push on through. Perez is going to be making that rotation. Vit's still concerned with below, but Perez is going to be able to land the shot. Not easy to hit the head on the reverse vertical like that through the hatch, but he's going to land it nonetheless. Zach able to trade on back. Smoke canisters coming on in. Resets. Is he going to be able to get himself in and amongst the action as the players from INTZ seem to double down on the kills? He's now left in the clutch situation. 1 versus 3. Finds 2. Can he find 3? No, the P shooter. That is the MPX. Isn't very kind to him. Not many guns there capable of a full 3 engagements without a reload. Resets again left as that last man standing there. But for INTZ, they level it up. 2 rounds apiece.
I have to say, even though this isn't the, most strategically sound and the cleanest siege, this is some of the most entertaining siege that we've seen so far in this stage. Black Dragons and INTZ both have something to prove coming into this stage especially, INTZ, they started to warm up towards the end of stage 1 and really show what they were made of, but they didn't get a full stage really to act on that. Black Dragons, however, they kind of had these 3 players who had been demoted from the super team of FaZe Clan. They wanted to prove what they were worth, and they simply failed to do so. And they had some moments of brilliance, but also a lot of pretty egregious failures in stage 1. Now they've made some roster changes. They're wanting to come into stage 2 and actually fight for the top 6. So with both of these teams going up against each other and looking improved based on last stage, it means we end up with quite a clash. And it's getting very aggressive as well, which leans into some of the natural playstyles of the people on these teams. It does mean it's not always clean, but it certainly means it's fun to watch.
It is entertaining, and that's something that I've always said about sieges. You don't need to always be watching the most cutting-edge technical siege. You just need 2 teams that are equally matched, and I think that's what we've got ourselves here on their respective sides. Currently, these 2 teams, for what we're seeing, are very well matched. It's going to be potentially another reasonable scoreline as well. Obviously, a lot depends on how things play when everything shifts around and we get INTZ over on the defense and Black Dragons on the attack. But for the time being, certainly shaping up for a 3-3 half. Now, previously when the basement was defended, when Laundry was the site, we saw Perez get the ace. Since then, he's had 1 kill, which isn't ideal, but we can let him off. The big problem that I see is that Black Dragons haven't even gotten close to the site. They don't know what's going down there because they got taken out on the roam. So provided... Sorry, INTZ, that is. So provided that Black Dragons are able to waste enough of INTZ's time, INTZ is still going to be facing a very fresh sort of defense to try and crack when they get themselves down into this later portion of the round.
Gemini waiting patiently. Probably the most patient I've seen a Gemini wait. Decent amount of time has already been spent, but obviously Perez has been alerted to the fact that Zach is just upstairs with the Zofia burning out some of the utility. Perez still has an ADS for protection as well, so he's got some safety as he waits down here by pillar, but he's still got to watch out into construction too.
ENG able to now gather a little bit of intel. Still, all 10 players alive. Hornetout also in his drone, along with Vit, so INTZ seriously on a fact-finding mission. They've got such powerful positions to try and deal with, and no Floras this time. Could be a little bit of a problem. We hear the Gon 6 go, and Sophia's lifeline going to come down these back stairs. Live opens it up with a frag over onto VNX, and the kills continue to trade on through thick and fast. Again, resets left inside of the clutch once it all shakes on through. 1 versus 2, and you just wonder if his location is known. Clearly no intel available for Black Dragons, given that everybody is watching Reset's perspective. He does, however, have a C4. He is currently, however, on drone. Gets a great shot over onto Vits. That's a little bit too aggressive. Sure, you've got the intel. You can't be breaking it down into a 1 versus 1 like that. You definitely got the audio cue there, going to try and bait out the C4. Stops Drunks from getting the plan down. Pre-fires his way through. Resets! What a mental mastermind of a clutch.
Oh, it's funny because he had the audio cue. He could have walked straight forward and gone for the kill, but instead he went to audio cue in return by whipping out the
Mind
C4,
games.
immediately putting it away and saying... I didn't have to say anything, did he? He just held his crosshair in one place and it was ready. Oh, I love it. It's so good as well. And INTZ are absolutely going to be kicking themselves too. Drunks knows he did not need to do that. It was out of fear that he did.
That is the kind of play that you learn through, like, just hours and hours of just grinding something like ranked. That's like a real, honestly, and it's not a dig at all. Like, it's a great play. It's exactly how you would like everyone could wish they could play it that way.
It's not one that you do dry runs for.
No, that's the point. You can't dry run that. Like, no one has coached Resets that. No one has taught him that. That is just through hours and hours of grinding the game, being confident, and just, like, knowing exactly how players work. And that, yep, if you hear someone rip a C4 and you're getting the plant down, you know that they're going to come off that plant. And that they're going to challenge on. Like, just mental stuff, because you think they're going to have the C4 in the hand. Hasn't been thrown yet. It's just beautiful. Absolute mastermind.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So INTZ need to put this next round on the board, not because it's required, given that they're on the attacking half. I think they would be fine at a 2-4 half, but I think just for their own mental and to tell themselves, to give themselves some comfort, right? Just be like, right, out of spite, out of vindication, we need to take this round. I know that's how I would feel.
I mean,
so,
Resets has clutched 2 of the rounds, don't forget now.
I know.
We've seen round 1 and round 5 both clutched by Resets. We had the ace round from Perez, so it must feel quite disheartening for INTZ, because they're either losing to a clutch or they're losing to an ace. It's not that they're losing to a very fine margin.
Yeah. What I am hearing is that Black Dragons are going to go away after this game, and they're going to set Resets' buyout with a couple more zeros on the end. It might be a bit early for that, but he has certainly been playing well. And as you say, you know, it's not a strategical thing necessarily, or like a really endemic thing. really integral to the way that Black Dragons strategize and prepare for everything. It is just that Resets has taken opportunities when they presented themselves to him. And I suspect that is part of the reason why INTZ's attack over the last couple of rounds, this one included, has very slightly slowed down. It's looked more tempered. They are getting the games war open finally, but we're not seeing any kind of rush in.
Ooh, what a beautiful C4 there by Ion. He's going to lose the Goyo, but he finally gets the kill on the Viz as well. He doesn't know his luck. The Goyo shield got exploded. He hits him with the turn and burn, hits him with the gunny. Still an advantage here for Black Dragons, as those 2 early kills just mean so much, especially on this site. Resets has made his way back up White Stairs now as well, as they know the push is coming through. This trophy side live with the swing as well. Everybody on the side of Black Dragons is just so confident right now. There's not a lot you can do to stand in their way. A Toxic Babe canister just going to give people time to think. Perez, he's gone for the drop and he finds the frag on VNX. Hornetow, he's left watching the flank. The diffuser is downstairs. He is in the 1 versus 5. Giving his location away now. He's only a matter of time till he gets swung. How many people is it going to take though? He's going to find the first in live. Could find the second here onto Perez if he managed to land his shots, but it isn't enough. Double peaked as Patoxy comes in, recognizes the firefight going down, wants to put an end to it.
Yeah, so that whole idea about INTZ putting a 3rd round on the board and evening it out on the half, guess that one didn't work out. And as I say, going into their defensive side now, it could simply be that that's not a huge problem, but I don't think they are necessarily going to be entering this half thinking that it's all okay.
It's not all okay, but it's not terrible either.
I think that's the point, right? Is it's like, all right, it's not the end of the world. We're okay, but also,
are you fine?
also, Black Dragon's looking a bit scary.
Yeah,
They're looking a bit scary right now.
It's almost like I'm fine.
Yeah.
Things aren't really working
the meme
out.
with the dog with the fire
with
in the
the
background.
dog and the fire, yeah. And the meme,
Yeah.
That's kind of where INTZ are at the minute. And you know, there's a fire extinguisher in 2 rounds time. We level it up at 4 apiece and everything's going to be rosy. Like, we'll be sat here laughing about it, wondering what we're ever worried about. But there is also the possibility that Oregon burns to the ground. And we see INTZ just slowly but surely lose another couple of rounds. But it is switched up. It is the defense in Oregon, so you're expected to pick up a good number of rounds. A 4-2 split isn't so unusual. And INTZ aren't wasting any time. They've said, we're going straight downstairs. We are not being that pick-me team and going upstairs first. We're going to try and get one on the board here and try and get ourselves back to 3-4 ASAP.
There's a lot of utility to burn through as well. If you're Black Dragons, there are Goyo shields. You're going to have to deal with a shield that I suspect Hornetow has brought, even though it's not showing up on the UI. Oh, yeah, it's at the top. You're going to have to deal with your Rooney gates. There are mute jammers to get rid of. So there's plenty of stuff to keep them nice and busy. And Black Dragons, for all that we praise them on just their vivaciousness, I think is probably the best way of putting it, they are not necessarily the cleanest attacking team. And they can have some excellent attacking rounds, but I think if things get too complicated, sometimes that overwhelms Black Dragons historically. So I do wonder how they're going to deal with all the utility, if they'll be able to do it quite methodically, how we would like to see, or if they're going to end up ignoring it sometime, or some of it, for the sake of being able to push a bit faster.
See how they want to try and move on through. I often think it's easier to clutch out on the defense than it is the attack, so it could be one of those cases where if we do start to get down to those rounds where we've relied on players on the side of Black Dragons to clutch it out to win, if they start to struggle to do so, it could be a problem, but really no struggle there. Resets. He was only trying to open the barricade, and Hornetow presents himself. It's a nice little opening pick. Don't really want to be losing your smoke as first blood, especially when there's only about half the round remaining and you've lost a lot of map control. You're really just waiting now to be pushed in the site. And you really need those smoke canisters to stop the attackers from pushing on in. Still, UC4s do remain. It's not going to be easy. Ooh, what a nade.
Took a little bit of damage. Not too much, actually. Zack is mostly fine. But Ints are obviously weakened compared to Black Dragons, who are still standing strong. In fact, no one's lost any HP on the attacking side. Patoxi's still looking to push down Freezer. There is a Surya Gate right in front of him that's going to be partially blocking the soft wall. Maybe he'll be able to throw something inside it, although not a Selma because it got eaten by an ADS. Finally, he throws the rest. Iron takes some damage as well as he's running around upstairs, but it'll actually be Resets the first to go down. A trade out. Drunk's the next to die. Fitz, he's getting very aggressive.
2 versus 2 as Live looks to try and push on in now. VNX has found himself a couple of kills as well, and well, that's going to put us in the 1 versus 1. Vitz versus Live. 10 seconds left. The diffuser in hand. An attempted bait, but a live ping is all Live will need. Manages to take him down inside of the freezer. Lovely little bait and switch there. I don't even think the audio cue really even got out there. More just sort of swaggy end to what was still a relatively scrappy round. Again, coming down to that 1 versus 1, but Black Dragons will take them all day long. Currently 5-2 here.
A swaggy end. You heard it here first, kids.
It was a swaggy end, wasn't it? Like, you sort of looked down, faked the plant. We didn't even get the proper sound from the plant going down. It was like a dance move.
And look how kind of like small and lonely those 2 rounds of Ints look right now. It felt like it wasn't that long ago that we were saying that it was evened out and it was a really tight one and it was 2-2. And now it just looks so like small.
The thing is, this is one of those games where even though the scoreline's 5-2, there's been, is it 3 now? Are we up to 3 rounds that have been a clutch, or are we up to 4?
I think we're on 3.
We've had resets with 2.
We had the ace.
Perez's ace round doesn't really count as a clutch because there was so many people there to make it happen if not. Well, no, it was.
Okay,
do you know what I mean? It didn't come down to a 1 versus 1. It didn't come down to 1 versus
like
X.
all of the kills just happened to be by the same guy, but that doesn't necessarily mean the round itself was...
Yeah, the round was never in jeopardy there for Black Dragons. So
jeopardy?
It wasn't. I think we're at 3. So all of a sudden you throw 3 rounds over toward Ints and it's the same. It's 5-2 towards those guys. So it doesn't... You know, all these have come down to 1 versus 1s, 2 versus 1s, whatever it is. You can't rely on those for your rounds, and somehow Black Dragons keep pulling it out of the bag.
Well, first casualty is going to be a default cam. Love to see it. How has Drunk's already lost a load of health? Must have missed that one. Regardless, this is going to be Intz's first attempt to defend the top floor. And given that Black Dragons kind of made mincemeat of them on the last round, I do wonder how tough it's going to be for them on this one. You know, my big question on round 7 was, are Black Dragons going to deal with all of the utility that they had to go against? Is that going to be a problem for them? It didn't seem to be. And so I suspect that it'll be the same here. And the thing with this top floor is you have to be in really specific positions as defenders, otherwise you are wide out in the open for all of the angles that can be held by attackers. So I just feel like Black Dragons are totally the sort of team who will exploit that very, very much.
Resets is going to be able to get himself on through. He manages to take care of 1 shield, but there's still going to be VNX playing inside of Attic. It is going to be being challenged as well, albeit only by a drone at the moment, just to figure out what it is exactly that's going on inside of there. The drone's seriously starting to dwindle as there's only just less than half the round remaining, but we've only got 4 drones alive. So Black Dragons do kind of need to keep an eye on that, but it seems as though those Hibana pellets have been enough to push anybody out of Attic. Now, if Black Dragons are able to take control of Attic and get themselves hopped on in, it could be quite a big win for them. Perez is going to look to try and challenge on this big window, as is more the norm. Able to get a nade on through, doesn't land. Still, players on the side of Ints in position ready to rotate and C4 from below is going to be a big problem here for Black Dragons.
Oh! Perez so close to getting that kill. Bonatao's going to be thanking his lucky stars that he managed to get away, but it does mean that it's going to be very hard to move out from behind the bomb chassis. because of that position. Perez does finally get Hornetow. Live can go in with the plant. He's got so much support behind him in Attic, in kids' dorms. INTZ are kind of all squished together.
Zach has to go massive here at the top of these white stairs as he's in a 3 versus 3, but he's in a good position. He's probably one of the better positions to try and do something about this. Him and VNX, they look to try and challenge now. Starved for information, though. You can just tell that INTZ really haven't got all too much to be going on. Live, he's going to find a swing over onto VNX. Perez again over onto Drunks. And Zach, he's managed to rotate his way around. He's got himself into trophy, finds himself an exit frag, but will be taken down. Black Dragons, they get themselves onto a match point here on Oregon.
One of the really big things about the way the Black Dragons chose to attack that is the fact that they did go in for the Attic and overall north side control. Not only did it mean that they could shift INTZ out of the positions they were in and capture people like Hornetow who got really stuck in their positions, it also meant they could provide support and be there for where Live decided to plant the bomb. And it also meant that in the post-plant, it was very difficult for someone like Zach to actually push up and get any value. Even when he got the kill onto the player who was in Attic, he was in the direct line of sight from the Attic door and the rotate that goes through into kids as well. So all he had to do was basically stand in that trophy doorway and he was as good as dead, despite the fact that he got an unimpactful kill through into Attic itself. So that was really cool because there wasn't tons of attention that was actually spent on the south side, which is where you very typically see most of it be used. And yeah, it really forced the positions of INTZ. It forced them to be in uncomfortable and cornered places from which they couldn't really do much. They couldn't act on what it was that they would have liked to have done. They couldn't stop the plant going down. It was a really nice approach in from Black Dragons. And it's, as you say, it's put them on match point. And now they're going to be attacking onto Laundry, which they already won this attack like 2 rounds ago.
Yeah, a site we have seen already play. You do worry if this is kind of a foreshadowing for INTZ of are they going to regress to almost their former selves inside of Stage 1 where we did see them struggle for rounds inside of games. This has been much more clear cut, and while it has been scrappy for Black Dragons, they've been able to win the gunfights and put INTZ under that pressure. And ultimately, if you are able to clutch out a lot of rounds in a row or a lot of rounds out of a game, then you kind of got to ask the question, how are you being allowed to do that? Because sure, the players that are getting the clutch are skilled and capable of clutching out, but they're still being allowed to clutch, even though it's a 2 versus 1 or any sort of 1vx situation. So that's, you know, maybe where the question starts to change a little bit. We'll see if this round can be any different here for INTZ.
Well, it's the only chance that they have. They screw this one up, it's over. And I think a 7-2 loss is quite a brutal one. Especially as looking at the game they had against Santos, it was 5-7 loss on Villa. So that was also a loss. They would still be looking for their first win. And they haven't even gotten to the upper echelons of opponents yet, those top 4 or even top 6 teams. INTZ haven't touched them. You would have hoped that they would put up a victory against some of these bottom 4 teams just to at least give some idea that they can do it. It could be that they do what they did in the last stage and, you know, find more success later on. You would really want to be seeing something more decisive than 7-2. Either way, it's not over just yet. You know, all 5 of them are still standing. They could take this next round. It looks like they're expecting Black Dragons from a number of the locations that they are looking to come in from, whether that be the tower stairs, whether it be the meeting hatch. Perez once again looking to push down into Freezer. Drugs gets the first kill. It's a good sign, but immediately the trades are coming in.
Toxie is going to fall, but Perez is there to try and respond and plug the gap. In fact, it's now only going to be Perez as he is in the 1 versus 2 now. His teammates have clutched these out before. The diffuser isn't in his control. So he is going to be able to walk on and pick it up. Can he grab the engagement? The soft wall next to him isn't going to be doing him any favors. 2 players in the side. Grabs the first. Is he going to pre-fire on the second? No! Drunks, he keeps INTZ in it, as he too didn't have a lot of intel to be going off, demonstrated by him sort of spraying through the soft wall, but did get the sound cue, was able to hit the 180, win the round for his team. Keeps INTZ in it again, as they've got a long way to fight back.
Yo, I said it wasn't over. They could have lived. They could have survived. I think, I assume the Black Dragons came down the meeting hatch, judging by where the diffuser had been dropped. And that would also explain the nature of the trades, because that happens a lot. When a team decides to drop down the meeting hatch and they haven't fully cleared out what's below them, you oftentimes see big trades coming through in the kill feed. So I suspect that's probably part of their mistake. They didn't do any kind of thorough clear. Pillar didn't have control taken of it. This is a really big difference that I've noticed in Brazil compared to what I would have seen in Europe last year, for example, back when I was casting there, is in Europe, they would spend tons of time ensuring that pillar control was actually taken. They'd be really thorough about it. In Brazil, they just yeet themselves down that hatch and hope for the best. And the best does not always come. And for Black Dragons, it didn't in that round. And it made them a lot more readable for INTZ, I think. It made them more predictable. So even though the trades weren't necessarily conclusive at the time that they came through, INTZ could then react to that, knowing where that very final player, especially of Black Dragons, was going to be.
Well, Black Dragons have got plenty of opportunity here to try and convert this match point into a match win. I don't think that that's going to knock the wind out of their sails too much. See how they approach this round. They're going to be attacking upstairs. Now, previously we saw it executed very nicely by Black Dragons. Not only were they able to take a little bit of attic control and hop themselves in through big window and get the plant down, they were able to achieve quite a lot. Especially, kind of ironic really, Gio, when we've been speaking about how teams have not really been focusing attic enough for our liking, and then in all the, well, in this game of Oregon, the only game of Oregon we've seen today, both sides have given it a nod, and they've used it in their attacks.
Yeah, I like it. And I think that we have seen some slight changes just over time happen with a number of maps and the way that teams like to approach them, and even maps that people complain are stale, like Oregon and like Clubhouse. We see slight changes with them too. Iron getting the opening kill, but he won't be lasting long after that as Hornetown gets his revenge. So once again, a 4 versus 4, evened out by that trade. Kind of a relatively aggressive start, I suppose.
Hornetown still holding on to the angle here as sight sort of alterations still going down. Jury gates are getting burnt, and removal of the mute jammer should be enough for a bit more info now to be gathered. As C4 resets, he can't shoot it out in time. They chunk him down somewhat. Nice little change by INTZ, leaving half of that attic wall soft. It does give them something to peek from. Gives them a little bit of an edge in that attic area. But is it going to be enough?
Hornetown getting stunned out. He's going to back off. This is where Hornetown got caught out last time they came to this site, remember? He got stuck by the bomb chassis over in kids' dorms. So far, he has outlasted himself from before. And Black Dragons aren't putting as much pressure on this attic side of the map. We have Potoxy, who's present in there, but with big window being opened and we have presence over towards Trophy from the attacking side, it's not exactly the same as it was back in round number 8. Hornetown gets a kill onto resets, once again showing that he is not going to fall to the same fate that he did last time. And with just 30 seconds remaining, Black Dragons have some work to do to remove these final 4, make that 3 players of INTZ.
Ooh, Perez goes down as well. It leaves everything to do for Potoxy, and he gets turbo swung by Trunks there as he comes out at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It will take his shots, and again, keeps INTZ in it. Now, this is playing out a little bit more how we expect Oregon to play out, where the defenders do see that advantage, and even though Black Dragons are only 1 round away, it isn't going to be easy for them to convert that.
No, that's a frustrating thing for Black Dragons as well here, because it's like, it was so close and they're making it very, very decisive, and now it's creeping up on us. Now, I think the fact that Black Dragons did changed their approach in that last round, worked against them somewhat. It's not that the approach was terrible. Ints were just better at dealing with it. But then, of course, there was the risk that if you had gone for the same approach, Ints would have been able to adapt. So I don't blame them for wanting to change. And you always run the chance of taking them by surprise. But this round, Black Dragons, or this site rather, Black Dragons have not yet attacked onto. So whatever it is that Black Dragons bring, it is going to kind of be a surprise to a certain extent, because it's not something that Ints have seen before. Now, I really hope the Black Dragons aren't going to do what Ints did and kind of just rush up shower corridor and sort of send themselves into the depths unnecessarily. I would like to see a bit more method to whatever madness it is they decide to bring. They have only brought one Heart Breach, so there's no Maverick, anything like that. Live likely to be responsible for opening up this wall here. You could also expect him to actually open up upstairs through the office floor, because you can do that and actually open the dining room wall from above, which is typically done with a thermite as well. And then I would expect a smoke plant off the back of that too.
Black Dragons trying now for the third time to convert this match point into a match win. Live there getting pinged out on the old alibi. Not going to be too much to worry about, but you do worry that the longer these rounds sort of tick by, going unfinished as it were, the more chance you do have for Ints to take it to an overtime and really start to throw us a bit of an upset. Black Dragons very focused on getting control of office and trying to push on through into showers. Half of which is already open, of course, to assist an impact trick. Typically you'll get a player with impacts playing inside of that shower, but interestingly no one brought impacts on the side of Int, so it is going to be easy to open in onto showers. But still, you just get the feel like you're herding cats trying to get these defenders in one place.
Being droned out, Black Dragons know the presence of two of those players up by the white stairs. They're still going to be coming in through small tower like normal, trying to hold in the angle through into the showers corridor, preventing their aggression from being utilized. Ooh, Ion just slightly saw one of those players live as well, but they won't actually be landing a kill. In fact, it'll be Drunks to get the first kill onto Ion.
First frag coming in, again going in Intz's favour. Drunks is going to be able to play Warden, and the glass is inside of the shower zone, and he's going to be able to stay relatively clear from the flashes. Eventually Live pushes him on through, but he'd already found two. He'd already put his team in a massive advantageous situation. Resets and Live now have to push through. There is intel available here for Black Dragons. They can use to take a moment to use it, as there still is time remaining. Zach with the peek onto Live. What a fantastic shot. Hornetow shutting down as well. Ints, they hold on for yet another round. He's getting dangerously close, Gio.
Yeah, this makes me wonder if we're gonna end up in overtime at this point.
Wouldn't be surprised.
This is the last opportunity for Black Dragons to actually take a regulation win. Don't forget, of course, that the number of points that you get does depend on whether your win is in regulation or overtime. And Black Dragons have been sat on match point for the last 3 rounds. They got there in round 8. We're in round 12. That is nuts. They've still not been able to convert it. I wonder if there is any part of it that is like pressure, if it's a mental thing.
Not sure. Is it a mental thing? Is it an Oregon thing? Is it the fact that a lot of their rounds came from clutches? And, well, so far we've seen... I'm not even going to be able to name and shame the person, because I can't remember who it was on the side of Black Dragons that didn't clutch out when everyone else had. But we saw them fail a clutch, and then the round started to go a little bit more in toward Intz's favour, because they then got the confidence and they're on defence and all these things that start to roll in together. It's a question we asked at the time, Gio. How many times can Black Dragons clutch it out? And we've almost found the answer to that, because they almost don't look like they've got a clutch in them at the moment. And when you think that that's how half of their rounds have been won through 1 versus X situations, it's not repeatable. We say it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's a worrying prospect, isn't it? If so much of your success is coming off of unreplicable situations, well, guess what? You're not going to be able to replicate them, are you? You can't rely on them. You can't depend on the fact that that's going to happen. And especially because things like that do rely on really confident play. If you are being mentally tapped by the fact that your opponent has just taken 3 rounds in a row, then you are less likely to recreate that confident play, or at least the situations that allow you to perform as such. So it is this whole kind of mind game cycle. And Perez, who was one of those players, now being taken down, certainly doesn't help Black Dragon's cause.
It really doesn't. I think the opening kill's gone toward INTZ in the last 3 rounds. Certainly since they've started to come away with that round win, it has had a correlation to that opening pick. Perez has stepped up in a big way over the course of the game as well, like 13 kills currently. Well, still 10 deaths, so it is costing them quite a bit. Bit of a rejig of some utility downstairs as well, as INTZ are being given the time and the space at the minute to really tailor that setup downstairs now that they've been able to figure out exactly what they're going to be coming up against a little bit better. Half the round remains.
I really hope the Black Dragons aren't going to go in for a jump down the meeting hatch, and with how many of their players seem to be over on this south side, I assume optimistically that they're not going to go for that. That really hurt them last time. It drew them into a lot of deaths that they didn't need to be in. The problem with them coming in from the south side, however, is that INTZ seem to be expecting it. They know at least that they're going to send a player in through Freezer, which is something that they've done the last couple of times they've come here. And I think they know they're coming down through Laundry as well. And with that Toxic Babe canister coming out, it kind of telegraphs that, yes, they do indeed know. But at this point, Black Dragons can't really change their strategy. They just need to execute well on this one.
Ion might be able to come in with a big grenade here as he is able to get one out through, but it's going to be Live that initially falls via Nex. No! It's not a great angle. It doesn't look pretty, but it certainly gets the job done. 2 versus 4 now. Make that 1 versus 4. Another clutch situation. Hornetau! He has the information. He has the swing, and he has the shots. He's going to find that final frag. And that is overtime confirmed.
Black Dragons are starting overtime on attack, which is the side that has just significantly hurt them. This is where my doubts start to come in. Because they have struggled on attack. 4 rounds in a row that seemed entirely helpless. That last round that we just saw, yeah, they did what I wanted and that they didn't go for the same approach as last time, but did it look like a well-practiced approach? Did it look like one that they knew a ton about what they were doing, or did it just look like something they were piecing together as it went on? I'm going to go with the latter.
Yeah, I think you're right. You can see just by the reactions there at the end of the replay of the player cams just how much this means for INTZ. We speak about momentum quite a bit, and they have that momentum at the moment. They've been able to really pull this game out of the dirt. As they've switched things up since getting on the defense. They get defense here and now. Honestly, could be a short overtime, Gio. The biggest question, and this is really where we start to get down to the absolute wire, is are INTZ then going to be able to take that and run with it on the attack? Because they do need to win an attacking round here, ideally, if they're going to take it in a short overtime. Obviously, we could go absolutely all the way. We could see 3 rounds of OT.
It is the difference between 2 rounds and 3 rounds. It's not as if it's an insane difference. But I do agree that INTZ, obviously, you want to be able to take your attacking round to have a more decisive overtime than go all the way to 8-7.
Well, let's see. We've got a Lion being brought here by Patoxy. They obviously feel like that's something that's going to make a little bit of a difference as they look for this big extended roam clear. Very little Flores on the attack here for Black Dragons. It's not something they've opted for. And again, it's not strange pushes, but I don't think we've seen enough pressure in toward elbow. I don't think we've seen enough pressure in bunker or blue. And not really anybody on side of the back stairs. A lot of their attacking pushes have come down to Freezer and Laundry, which is a little bit unusual.
Yeah, I mean, they did a few rounds ago have some push on the back stairs, but it was in the same round that they were looking to make the meeting drop. Black Dragons getting the opening kill helps because, as we said, INTZ got the opening kill on every single one of those rounds, which they took in a row, the last 4 rounds. So with Iron getting that opening kill, slightly turns the tables there. Now it could turn out that it doesn't really mean anything, but it's something.
Hatch has been opened now, and we have seen the laser gate disabled for the time being that was on the hatch. Now, there's still one on the doorway as well. VNX can play quite freely at the moment as the double door hasn't been opened just yet. Still, attackers looking to get themselves in position. There's enough time remaining for this to happen. Nade to clear out the barbed wire. A lion scan to cover the push, and the push will come on through. Perez, unfortunately, takes himself out with his own nade. But the kills are flooding here for Black Dragons. They set all of their ducks up in a row and were able to execute in what seemed like only a matter of seconds.
Again, somewhat scrappy, but yes, very fast. And that was the round the Black Dragons absolutely needed. I think they didn't overthink that round. They just went in and said, let's just do what we're going to do, right? Which their natural way of playing is very high risk, high reward. But I suppose you need to be in whatever mindset it is that makes you more comfortable, because it's when you're comfortable that you're probably going to find results. At least that gives them the peace of mind that if INTZ win, they need to take the next 2 rounds to do so. They can't afford to falter, whereas Black Dragons can, and they also just did that on their least favored side. I would imagine the Black Dragons will look significantly better on the defense. It would not surprise me to see Black Dragons take this next round 8-6. But given how INTZ kind of just came out of nowhere and put a ton of rounds on the board in the second half, maybe they will just look fantastic on their attack.
It's always a difficult one, isn't it? INTZ got 2 rounds on the attack. And it's kind of something we need to remember quite clearly. Because now they're on the attack and they have to win a round here. So, again, as we say, not unusual to see 4-2 splits over on Oregon, and often it feels like the team that gets attack wins. Like, statistically, defense is favored on Oregon, but it feels like when you're in an overtime situation, attackers usually win that first round for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe that they've had so many attempts at it up until that point, but alas, here we are. Black Dragons now back onto that match point. Now, it's going to sting a little bit if they do win, because they are, of course, going to miss out on a point, which, well, it may not sound like a lot. They certainly add up over the course of a stage. Little 1 point here, 1 point there for those overtime games that you end up going to. So I'm sure that they're going to be focused here and now to try and finish essentially what they started earlier, back on their defensive phase.
First time we've seen a clash in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of throwing a spanner.
Makes me nervous.
For Black Dragons or INTZ?
For Black Dragons.
Yeah.
Like, is it just like a parachute? Like, are you pulling the cord on the parachute? Like, are you in free fall and the clash is your saving grace?
It is one of those ones that's like, great if it works, but also you haven't done this so far today. Is it you just pulling something out? I don't know. I think we've seen Iron on Clash before. I don't think this is a player who is particularly inexperienced in playing Clash. It's also very interesting that they're choosing to play her on the freezer stairs, whereas oftentimes you see a Clash on this map be used over towards construction, but actually we haven't seen any construction play really from either of these teams. This is very aggressive from live, and if he's not too careful, he's going to get in the line of sight of Zach. So I think it's smart of him to back off. And where he is positioned towards the Vulcan shield, means that he can watch for the back of Perez as well. Perez isn't just on his own looking after 2 different angles.
It's shaping up to be a scary one. A lot of players left remaining, all 10 to be exact. Flores drones being baited out. There is, in fact, only one of those left, and there's still the Vulcan shield. It's going to be causing a little bit of a problem. Now, laser gates are being burnt. Please, this can't end in an electrical hatch drop. Hornetower is going to open things up with a kill. The drop comes in, but no one accounted for Live. He eventually will be traded out as well, as Zach has actually remained, and so has Drunks. The diffuser, it is cold, but it is accessible. Still, players available from Black Dragons to try and make rotations and to keep themselves safe. Resets. He's going to be able to find one over onto Hornetower. Still inside of the freezer. Ion. He can gather so much information on the clash, and no one really in a position to deal with him. 18 seconds left remain. Zach finds himself one. Can he grab the second? Yes, he can. Clash or not. Now we are 1 versus 3. Plant going down, and this is where you question the clash pick. This is where you think, has Ion got the ability to clutch this one up when it matters the most? No. But Zach does. Finds 3 kills there inside of that 3 versus 3. Massive beachhead for his team. INTZ level it up. They do the impossible. They win the attacking round. They take us truly all the way to round 15.
No, it was pretty huge. A lot of the linchpin of Black Dragon's defense came down to where Live and Perez were positioned. And Perez has been playing there every time that they defended on that site before. But this time, he wasn't protected enough by an ADS in order to prevent the nade that came down from killing him. And the other thing is, you could tell that they really invested in keeping Live safe, because not only was the Vulcan shield behind him, they also had a mute jammer on the electrical wall so that they wouldn't be able to open it up from the hatch, which they did try to do with Havana pellets. But the thing is, what you got as a direct result is, rather than INTZ giving up on that, they decided to just jump down anyway, not just from the hatch, but also into Harry Potter as well. I think it was Hornetower that did that. It might have been Zach. But someone just landed straight on Live's head by launching themselves over the stairwell. And I think Black Dragons probably didn't anticipate that INTZ were going to do something like that when they got to the point that they couldn't actually get through the utility that was protecting those 2 players at the bottom of the stairs. It made Pillar so much more free. It pushed a lot of those players back. It meant the hallways was accessible. And then you're in that position where it's just Ion left on the clash, and you can try and slow down those players, but with no one by your side to support you, you have to get out the SPS MG. You have to try and kill them yourself. And, well, we saw how that went.
The short answer, it didn't. And that is why we are left here. Well, that and many other reasons are why we are left here on maximum overtime. Black Dragons, they have had the advantage for what feels like so long in this game. Briefly, they held it again, and now they're just thrust back onto that back foot. Again, scrapping for these 2 points. See if they're able to get something going here. We've spoke all game about how so many of their rounds have come down to clutches. I guess the question is, are they going to clutch, or is a clutch even going to be necessary? INTZ, they surely have the confidence, especially after winning that attacking round. They're not going to be looking to give anything away for free.
VNX kind of aggressively positioned in freezer. It was VNX who was lying prone in freezer last time that caught out Patoxy, I think it was, who pushed through. This time, not prone, but I think Black Dragons will be very hyper aware of that. Is this okay, eventually. I was thinking, how long is that pellet going to go on for? It eventually opened the hatch. Hornetower watching like a hawk from nearby. Still everything just very slow in motion. In comes the E1D from Patoxy to try and get some information on the whereabouts of their adversaries. Hornetower gets caught out and killed as the first death.
I'm going to be gathering a bit of information in his drone currently. Drunks gets a C4 taken out there, so still leaves 1 remaining in the hands of VNX. We'll be able to do something with that if the time comes. Zach, a player that has stepped up so much over the course of the last couple rounds, to find himself a nice kill. He's got a great angle as well in onto Freezer. He can put some pre-fires down. He's in fact going to find the down and the kill over onto Patoxy. Live eventually shuts him down. Traded 3 versus 3. Live doesn't have a lot of health. to speak of. Perez a little bit less as well as he gets himself in a skirmish with VNX. The C4 is going to come out. Should be able to get out of the way in time, but Perez, he really is being pinched here. The crossfire going to be too much really for him to do anything with. He's being held from multiple angles. He needs his teammates to alleviate this pressure. Live, he's going to try and cover as the plant goes down. Ion there will be taking out Drunks as Live is going to confirm that diffuser. Can everybody keep themselves alive here? A rotation into Freezer by Vitz is going to net 2 kills. VNX comes up with the final one. INTZ, they have done it. They have taken Oregon here 8-7 against Black Dragons and against all the odds.
In what universe did we think it was going to go this way? Remember back when Black Dragons were on like 5-2 and I was like, oh yeah, it doesn't look that great, does it? And then they got on, what was it, 6-2?
6-2.
They were on 6-2. And then they lose 7-8. What even happened? I mean, we know what happened. We've just witnessed the game. But that was a roller coaster, I think. And I said partway through the game, INTZ are looking for their first win. They need to prove that they can get some over these teams who are down in the bottom 4 before they even hope to get any success against the higher up teams. Well, I guess they've just done